Fight fans, this is JD of Bvtnews, and I'm back to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. If this is your first time on the channel, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you are updated on the latest and greatest news that we drop here at Boxing Vibes TV. Now, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the pay-per-view star light heavyweight of London, and that is Mr. Anthony Yarde. He returned to the ring, in early February. He returned to the ring against Marko Nilichik, and he dominated in excellent, exquisite fashion, getting Nilichik out of there relatively easy. I mean, it was quite easy work for Anthony Yarde.
And again, it's the quality of the jab, the speed and the accuracy with it. And there's another body shot from Yarde. What a shot.
That's wonderful. There's a well-known casino not very far from here, and a lot of his fellow countrymen have been in there.
A powerful shot, Nikolic. There you go.
1, 2, 3.
So the question again.
Now, after that fight, there was a lot of talk of a potential fight being set up between Anthony Yarde and Joshua Buatsi. It's been a brewing rivalry of two Londoners, eventually, having a showdown in the ring against each other. Now, before we get to talking about Buatsi and Anthony Yarde, it's worth noting that we have to remember when you go back to the Beterbiev fight last year that saw him get stopped in the 8th round, his trainer, Tunde Ajayi, he stopped the fight, and kind of saved Anthony Yarde from further punishment. But it's important to note that Anthony Yarde actually, on 2 judges' scorecards, was beating Artur Beterbiev. I repeat, it was an excellent fight, and we all know that Beterbiev has, fight-changing power, which that's really what was the edge for him over an Anthony Yarde. But Anthony Yarde fought very well. He fought extremely well. It's just that not many can stand up to that power when you get clipped from a Artur Beterbiev. But overall, in my estimation, after seeing that fight with him and Beterbiev, it really started to look like Anthony Yarde really has next, right? Sometimes when you're going against great fighters, he also had that knockout loss to Kovalev that I know he wants to get some get back on as well. But the most recent one was to Beterbiev. But what I will say is Anthony Yarde is only 32 years of age. So for some fighters, when you're fighting on that elite level and you're facing somebody like an Artur Beterbiev, it could just be where it's not quite your time just yet. You got the skill, you got the determination, but sometimes when you're going against all-time greats, it might just not be your time yet. And that's what I feel is going on with Anthony Yarde. I feel like we're getting into an element where we're going to start to see Anthony Yarde in some massive bouts, and he's really going to have his opportunity to claim the crown of the light heavyweight division. You got the Dimitri Bivol and Beterbiev fight finally happening. I mean, how many years has, Beterbiev been at the top and Bivol been at the top, and now we're finally about to get it? You look at an Artur Beterbiev that is now 39 years of age. 39 years of age. And so even though he's knocked every single opponent out, over the past couple of fights, based off of a younger Beterbiev, you can see a bit of slippage. But, I mean, the reality is he has equalizing power that can totally change everything if he can clip you. So, but you got him getting a little bit older. And so when you start to look at, the Bivols and the Beterbievs, and you look at the age of an Anthony Yarde, it starts to appear like, his time may be arriving in this next year or two. This really might be the coming of Anthony Yarde in the next year or two, once we can get to a point where he can have another crack at a Beterbiev or potentially a Bivol, whoever ends up being the winner of that fight. Now, for Anthony Yarde, the light heavyweight division is about to be on fire, right? It's about to be on fire because over across this way, across the pond, we now have Mr. David Benavidez, who is going up to light heavyweight and about to face off against Gvozdyk, right? Now, that makes things very interesting because the light heavyweight division gets extremely intriguing if somebody like a David Benavidez enters into the picture and is now permanently in the light heavyweight division. You'd have Anthony Yarde, you'd have Artur Beterbiev, you have Dmitry Bivol, you got David Benavidez, you still have Gvozdyk out there, you got Joshua Buatsi, who's still undefeated himself, the British Commonwealth champion. So it starts to get really interesting, and there's a lot of options on the table for an Anthony Yarde, even if he can't get the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol. Now, as a matter of fact, when we really start to look at it, you actually do have David Benavidez and Gvozdyk facing off against each other in a fight that's supposed to be a mandatory for one of the belts that will be on the line for Beterbiev versus Bivol. But of course, you'll also have Anthony Yarde and others who are also vying to get the winner of whoever comes out on top with Beterbiev and Bivol. But overall, I really think that Anthony Yarde is entering into his moment in the light heavyweight division. I know that they're also flirting with opportunities where he may potentially go up to cruiserweight. So there are options up there. But I do think that at a young 32 years of age, I think he's really about to ascend to boxing stardom and really be able to put himself, on the map. He took a couple of difficult L's to Beterbiev as well as Kovalev, but I think that he's learned from those defeats, and he's really ready to ascend and really enter that part of his prime where he'll see, a dominant performances from him. Now, when it comes to the Joshua Buatsi fight, that is a fight that Frank Warren has said that it should be on the table and it should happen. Now, with Anthony Yarde and his camp, they're saying that they would like for that fight to happen, but they're not hanging their hat on that fight necessarily being next, and that they do have other options on the table. So we will see what ends up happening with Joshua Buatsi, again, the British Commonwealth light heavyweight champion, who just recently defeated Dan Aziz. And man, when I tell y'all, if y'all want to see a highly entertaining back and forth fight, I suggest y'all go look at the replay of Joshua Buatsi and Dan Aziz, man. I was sleeping on that fight. I'm not going to lie, man. Check out just some clips of how Buatsi and Aziz were laying leather back and forth, and how Buatsi was around here slapping Aziz all over the place. Check it out. Now, while Buatsi hasn't really been at the most elite level like Anthony Yarde has been, that seems like a fight that is lining up to happen. I don't know if it'll happen next, but right now, Anthony Yarde probably gets the edge based off of sheer experience. At this point, Anthony Yarde has been in the ring with, Artur Beterbiev as well as a Kovalev back in the day. So he's experienced the highest level at light heavyweight. But overall, man, I think Anthony Yarde is going to come of age here pretty soon. I think he's going to get a massive fight that's going to really put him on the map. I feel like if he gets the opportunity to face off against Beterbiev again, I like Anthony Yarde in a rematch, because in that bout that saw him stopped, again, he was up on 2 of the judges' cards. So he was doing an excellent job boxing with Beterbiev and really had the edge up until ending up getting clipped. So I really think that, Anthony Yarde is being slept on because of a couple of defeats, but I see Anthony Yarde dominating the light heavyweight division here soon once he gets that opportunity to. But salute to Anthony Yarde and his team, his trainer. But y'all let me know in the comment section who y'all think really is about to be the king of the light heavyweight division. I know we got Beterbiev versus Bivol. We got Benavidez and Gvozdyk, even though Benavidez is talking about going back to 168. But then we got Anthony Yarde, and we got the next one coming up, Joshua Buatsi. So who do y'all really think ends up being, in the next year or two, the true king of the light heavyweight division? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments section. Till next time, man, this is JD at Bvtnews. I'm going to keep giving y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. Again, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And until next time, man, deuces.